Welcome to Kindred Spirits Book Club, the podcast where some number of grown-ass ladies geek out about Anne of Green Gables. I'm Kelly Gerner, and I'm here with my co-host, Ragon Duffy, and today we are joined by a special returning guest, Katie Stewart of Owl's Nest Publishing. Katie, welcome back to Kindred Spirits Book Club. We missed you.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here. I love coming on this podcast. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Thank you, Katie. We love having you. We always have such fun conversations. So, Katie, let us and the Kindred Spirits know what's going on with you and what's new with Owl's Nest and how are things going on your side of the world?
Things are really good. We are always very busy putting out new books. Actually, in a week, we're releasing a new sort of upper middle grade, I would call it upper middle grade fantasy called Trick of Spades. I'm so excited about it. It's a fantasy, but it's really unusual. Like it's sort of an Irish inspired setting, and it feels the closest thing would be steampunk, but it's not steampunk. It's like inspired by the 60s, sort of mid-century, very mid-century vibe. It's really fun. It's about a set of twins that are from the country and end up in the big city looking for their aunt who's been taken hostage. It's great.
What day does it come out again?
So it's out on May 6th and it's great. And then we have a bunch of other stuff like projects in the works. Later this summer, we have Peony Watercolors Wish for Sun and Moon, which is a really sweet sort of contemporary, very, very light fantasy. Like one of my favorite middle grade contemporaries with like a touch of magic, and that's what this one has in it. Little Women is coming out this winter. Yeah, I'm so excited for that one. Because Little Women is such a big book, it was originally published as two separate books, and they read very differently. When you read through the book, it's a little bit of, you get a little bit of whiplash when you go from part one to part two, because her language shifts even from something that's more adolescent to something that feels a little bit more adult. Yeah, there's many things to mine with that book. I'm really excited for that one to come out. There's just all sorts of stuff that's happening with Owl's Nest. Things are good.
That's really exciting.
We're so happy you're here, Katie.
I know. I'm so glad to be here.
So guess what, Kindred Spirits? When this episode releases, Ragon and I will be on Prince Edward Island.
I'm so jealous.
Katie, it's not too late. Buy a ticket. Come join us.
Katie, we're going to have so much fun.
Oh my gosh. What dates are you going?
June 18th to June 28th.
What a dream.
What a dream. No, it truly is. Well, if you find your way there, we would love, love, love to hang out with you. And that goes out to all the Kindred Spirits as well. If you are attending the L.M. Montgomery Conference in Charlottetown this weekend, the same weekend this episode is dropping, we hope you will come find us and say hi.
And if you do, we'll give you a sticker.
Is this the first time either of you will have been on Prince Edward Island? Have either been before? Oh my gosh.
We're so excited. Katie, have you gone?
I've never been. And I don't know if they do this anymore, but so my best childhood friend went to Prince Edward Island. I write about that in the book, in my version of Anne, my annotated edition.
Katie's beautifully annotated edition of Anne of Green Gables from Owl's Nest. If you haven't read it or listened to our episode about it, go read it. It's such a great edition.
Oh, thank you. In the book, I talk about how my friend visited this is how I learned about Anne, was she went to visit Prince Edward Island, came back obsessed, and then made the rest of us read the book.
Oh, that's so funny.
There was an Anne of Green Gables play.
Oh, we already have tickets.
Okay. So they do still do that. Yes, they do still do that. And what else did she talk about? She brought back these beautiful, beautiful porcelain dolls of Anne and Diana that she got there.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Kept with me in my heart and want to go visit.
If you hurry up and buy a ticket, you can meet us there. You may have to sleep on the floor, but you are absolutely
There's room for you in our Airbnb. Just come along. It's going to be great.
Okay.
So we are so excited to have Katie back on the podcast for this episode, which is one that we have been really looking forward to because this episode is a bit of an experiment for us. We are departing slightly from Anne and Ellen Montgomery related content to talk about books and reading generally. Part of this is because, we're very cognizant of the fact that while the Montgomery verse is wide, it's not infinite.
It's not Marvel, okay?
Right.
It just keeps expanding.
Right.
The Montgomery Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
The other MCU. And so
The
we
others
have been
do.
wanting to explore doing a few different things in this podcasting space, and reading recommendations is definitely one of them.
This was what my podcast back in the day was about, was just books in general.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the best.
Because there's always more books out there to talk about.
It is actually an ever expanding universe.
Exactly. Exactly. So our thought here is to recommend books that we've read and enjoyed, of course, but also keeping in mind the kind of books that we thought would appeal to our kindred spirits and people who love Anne of Green Gables. And obviously, not all of us have the exact same reading taste, but in general, we have a pretty good idea of who you all are now. And we'd love to recommend some read-alikes and other books that we think might make your summer extra sparkly. We also want to make sure we're going to recommend some middle grade books or YA books that might be appropriate for younger YA readers, because that's very much in keeping with the Anne universe. Even though right now we're talking about some books about her adulthood, a lot of what Montgomery is writing is very much books about childhood and growing up. But we also have some just other fun adult books that we think you guys might like too.
Well, let's begin. Let's dive into our recommendations, and let's start with some middle grade reads, all ages reads, more family friendly, fun summer reads. Take it away, ladies.
I definitely have some middle grade recommendations because always been a favorite genre for me, even before I had kids. I don't know, there's something really wonderful in a middle grade book. So one that I'm going to absolutely recommend for a perfect summer book is one that Katie recommended to me way back on your very first visit to our podcast. And in fact, by Providence, shortly after we recorded that episode, in a little free library around the corner for me, I found the first book in the series. So I picked it up, went home, read it, loved it. The series is about the Penderwicks. So if you loved Rainbow Valley of the Anne books or other books about kids getting into like wholesome scrape, this is a fabulous series. The first book is called The Penderwicks, A Summer Tale of Four Sisters, Two Rabbits, and a Very Interesting Boy. A very classic middle grade summer book. It reads kind of old fashioned, kind of like Noelle Streetfeld crossed with all of a kind family style books, even though it was published in 2005. Like if you had, aside from a few more particular like modern inferences, it's got this very kind of classic childhood summer style. And the four Penderwick sisters range in age from 4-year-old Batty to 12-year-old Rosalind. And then there's 11-year-old Skye and 10-year-old Jane in between them. And their mother died shortly after Batty was born, and their father is loving but kind of absent-minded professor type. And he has rented a cottage for them in the Berkshires for a few weeks in the summer. And it turns out the cottage is actually on the grounds of an estate of the very rich and overbearing Mrs. Tifton, who has a wonderful son named Jeffrey, who's 11, same age as the kids. He's very musically talented, and they have all kind of the usual summer mischief as the kids roam around the grounds and have that kind of loose freedom that classic summer really feels like, where they get into little bits of trouble and make friends and get themselves out of trouble and grow and, you know, have first crushes. So we've got, you know, Rosalind, who's the responsible oldest sister, but has her first crush. Skye is impulsive and has a bad temper. Jane is a writer and constantly looking for inspiration for her detective novels. And Batty is wildly imaginative, but deeply shy outside her family. And it's just so good at painting that kind of lazy summer experience that we want all childhoods to kind of have. There's several books in the series, and the third book is also a very summery series, and that's called The Penderwicks at Point Muette. And so the girls are a little bit older, but it also follows them on some of their summer adventures. And then the last book, which is called The Penderwicks at Last, also returns to that same cottage in the summer again. So it's got a nice full circle scenario happening. Yeah, the Penderwicks are a great read, even if you don't want to commit to a whole series. The first one is just a perfect little summer escapade of a lovely family. Very low stakes, very enjoyable.
If you like the Penderwicks and you like this style of book, then the Vanderbeekers of 141st Street is it's a whole series, the Vanderbeekers. They're also wonderful. I actually have only read the first one, which takes place at Christmas time, but I think the other ones take place at other times of the year, so there's probably a good summertime one in that series as well.
I almost recommended those two. The last
Yeah.
one just came out. I think there are more like 6 or 7 of them. And they read much more modern. They don't take place out of time where it sort of feels like the Penderwicks. You couldn't really pinpoint what year it takes place.
That's the magic of the Penderwicks, is that it really does have that very classic feel to it. It is sort of timeless. And yeah, the Vanderbeekers is not quite as timeless, but it still is sort of that lovely family.
Yes. Here's a
feel to
loving,
it.
wonderful family. All of the kids have very distinct, interesting personalities.
Yes.
They all love each other and they want to do good things in the world, but it's not
Yeah.
preachy. It's not over the top. It's usually they get into some scrapes and then they make some friends along the way. And
Yeah.
they're really lovely books. They're really wonderful.
So another book that I wanted to recommend, that there's elements that feel a little Annish. I read this book last summer, and it's a cross between A League of Their Own and The Sandlot with a little bit of Esperanza Rising. It's called Three Strike Summer, and it's by Skylar Schremp, and it takes place in the 1930s during the Depression, and also when the farmers they would in California.
Oh, what were they called? Like the sharecroppers?
Sharecroppers, yes.
Is that the right word?
Yes,
Okay.
I think it is. Yes. She and her family moved. They were farmers, but they had to leave because of the Dust Bowl and the Depression, and they ended up being sharecroppers on a peach orchard. And she really wants to join the boys on their baseball team, but is not supposed to because she's a girl.
I love it.
So she's spunky and she doesn't want to be told what to do. So she's going to find a way for herself. But it also does get into sort of the politics and injustices that took place in communities like that, in the sharecropping world and during that time. Anyway, it's great and very summery.
That sounds perfect. Well, I'm going to recommend another series that has excellent summer vibes, and that's Lumberjanes. So think Girl Scout camp crossed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gravity Falls. It's a cabin of 5 best friends at a sleepaway summer camp, but they also encounter a ton of like supernatural creatures and go on some fantastic quests while also dealing with all the usual friendship and growing up stuff. And Alice absolutely adored this series. And what's fun is there's 3 different formats that this series comes in. So it originally started as a comic. The comics are, I think there's 17 volumes, and each volume is like 4 comics. So they're full color, graphic novels, comic style. The first one is called Beware the Kitten Holy. This is a great place to start. The comics are super fun to read. Alice started reading them probably as like 2nd grade. And then they've also got graphic novels. Each graphic novel is done in a style where it's only 2 colors. So it's like white and blue or white and green. They've got like one longer story in the graphic novels. And I believe there's 4 of those. And then they also have now come out with middle grade chapter books of the Lumberjanes. Yes. So I think there's 4. The first one is called, I think, Unicorn Power.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to remember this for when Marigold is a little older.
Oh my gosh. She will love it. They're full of all these magical summer camp adventures, friendship, girls growing up, getting into all sorts of magical trouble. It's a fabulous world. It's so inclusive and vibrant, and the girls are all very distinct. And as I said, Alice was very, very invested in the Lumberjanes world.
You had me at Gravity Falls. That is a favorite in our family.
Yes.
Oh, it sounds great.
Yeah, highly recommend that.
Okay, I'm going to dive in with my middle grade recommendation. It's called Light and Air, and it's by Mindy Nichols Wendell. So this book is historical fiction, and I think this author has written a number of sort of middle grade historical fiction novels. And this particular one is set in upstate New York in 1935, so another 30s read to dovetail off of Katie's, but is set at a tuberculosis hospital.
Ooh.
Okay. Ruby Gillis would like a word.
Yeah, right? It's better than it sounds, and it does not romanticize tuberculosis. But so anyway, our young heroine is named Hallie, and she's sent to the hospital after she and her mother contract tuberculosis. I know it sounds a little grim, but I promise it's actually a very lighthearted book, very charming book with vivid historical details and characters that feel true to life, but also like very modern in some of their values. And so the book just paints the picture of this like beautiful hospital, which is based on a real place just outside of Buffalo, New York. The doctors who run it, like their theory of treating tuberculosis is that like fresh air, sunlight, and like really wholesome food are the best medicine for tuberculosis. And it really just like brings to life the sort of daily routines of the children who were patients there. It's really fascinating. I learned so much about that period of time. I didn't know anything about this, truly. I mean, I just kind of like picked it up because I thought the cover was pretty. And
I just
it's
looked it up and the cover is stunning.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. And I will say there are a few sad and scary moments because of course it is about a deadly disease, but I think that that is really relevant for kids who are readers now and who lived through our pandemic, right? I don't think that the material is going to be something that is going to feel inaccessible to them because so many lives were touched by COVID as well. So I think that there is a contemporary connection. And overall, I just really loved spending time with Hallie and her sassy, spunky friends at the hospital and learning a lot about, how their sort of theories of wellness at the time and how it's more than just doctors and medicine. It's also friendships and sunshine and rest. And then like a fun Easter egg for the kindred spirits is that Hallie is actually reading the Anne books during her stay at the hospital.
Love it.
Which is really, really cute. So I loved all the Anne shout outs. And there's definitely Ellen Montgomery's fingerprints are all over this book. There's like beautiful descriptions of the natural world, beautiful descriptions of the hospital. Really lovely. So that's Light and Air by Mindy Nichols Wendell.
I just added that to my cart because it sounds right up my alley. I love middle grade because it can deal with difficult things with like a light touch and in ways that kids really get.
I have a question for you guys, which is what is a book that you associate with your childhood summers?
Okay. Well, I have to represent for my fellow elder millennials and admit that most of my elementary school summers were spent gobbling down Babysitter's Club books. And of course, all of the adjacent spinoffs like the Super Specials and the Mysteries and the Babysitter's Little Sister series and all that stuff. And I will say that I don't recommend any of those per se, but they definitely defined my childhood reading for better or for worse.
So I think there are some new Babysitter's Club books out now, aren't there?
Well, there's the graphic novels.
The graphic novels. That might be what I'm thinking of.
Those are great. Those, when I volunteered in the elementary school library the last couple of years, those absolutely flew off the shelves. All the kids love those.
Okay. While I'm talking about Anna Martin, the other book of hers that kind of comes to mind for me as like a consummate summer read of my childhood. And I was also thinking about this when you guys were talking about the Penderwicks, because it's very much that sort of similar vibe of big crazy family doing the summer thing. Did either of you read the book 10 Kids, No Pets?
I've never even heard of it.
Okay.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
So it's an Anna Martin book, a non-Babysitters Club Anna Martin book. I have not reread or revisited this book in any way since the early 1990s. So for all I know, it's absolutely awful, but in my memory, it's very charming. So, take that with a grain of salt. But the book is about a family with 10 children. And one summer, they move from their apartment in New York City, which is like insane to think about 10 kids living in an apartment in New York City, but there you go, to a farmhouse in New Jersey, which again, seems like a really good call in light of all the kids. And this book is just like essentially about that transition, right? From like all the kids in the city to all the kids in the country. There's all sorts of like hijinks as the kids are adapting to their new environment. I think the book takes place over the course of a school year, but since that move happens in the summertime, I kind of have it in my head as a summertime book. But all of this is not relevant in light of the thing that captivated my attention in this book so much as a kid, which is the naming convention that this family had for their 10 children. Let me tell you, this idea had an absolute stranglehold on me as a child. So in this book, 10 Kids, No Pets, there are 10 children. The mom evidently understood ahead of time that they were going to have a very large family. And she decided to name the first kid.
She's like, I'm going to make this decision once on how I'm going to name my kid so we don't have to do this again.
Literally, yes. We stand an organized queen.
Right. We're going to just reduce the mental labor.
I already know I'm going to have 10 kids and I'm just going to tap this down so we never have to think about it again. So what she decides to do is the first kid is named the first name in the A section of the baby name book. The second kid is the second name in the B section of the baby name book. The third kid is the third name in the C section of the book, and so on and so on. Right? Again, as a child reading this book, I'm like, genius.
This is amazing.
This is amazing. So anyway, this predictably results in some absolutely bonkers names, which totally rule. According to Wikipedia, which I had to look it up because I couldn't remember it. So the 10 children were named Abigail, normal name, Bainbridge.
Oh, that one's rough.
Calandra, Dagwood, Eberhard, Faustine and Gardenia, twins, because you have to have a set of twins in every very large family.
You do.
Hannah, Ira, and Janthina.
Okay, so Hannah and Abigail made out.
Yeah,
as
Hannah and
the normal-
Abigail made out. I think some of the other ones had like cute nicknames. If I'm remembering correctly, I think Eberhard was named Hardy, which is kind of cute. Guys, I don't know. This is so bananas, but again, reading this as a child, I was like, amazing. I'm doing this when I'm a mom. And of course, the kids are, because this is like, kid book logic, they're all born one right after the other over the course of 9 years, right?
Oh my God, that poor mom.
9 years, 10 children, 9 pregnancies back to back to back. Just bananas. But anyway, it's very much though, I think like in that Rainbow Valley where it's just like a bunch of kids in a huge family sort of running amok, getting into scrapes with like minimal adult supervision. I haven't thought about this book since 1991. It might be total trash, but when I think about a book that defined my summer reading as a kid, this definitely stands out. I I wish I had a cooler answer. Like I spent my childhood summers reading like Neil Gaiman, but no, I just spent time with the collected works of Annabelle Matthews Martin.
You know what? Our tastes change as we grow up. That's okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
That's great.
My taste has gotten better.
So I kind of have like two flavors of summer reads that I think about when I'm thinking about it from my childhood. One is mysteries. So there is something about summer where I think diving into like a series where you can just read an immense series back to back to back is one of the joys of summer. Again, taking the decision
Yes.
of your library visit. You just go to the library and you pick up the next 5 in the series.
Absolutely. You just go down the list.
Yeah. So Nancy Drew's classic summer reading. Also, I was really into the Trixie Belden books, and she's younger than Nancy. So she was about 13, I think, in the first book. I had to look that up. And I think kind of by the end, she's like 15, unlike Nancy Drew, who is chronically 18. I think Trixie Belden does get to grow a little bit older. So she's like one of 4 kids and they live on a farm, and she gets embroiled in various local mysteries along with her rich neighbor, Bestie, who is deliciously named Honey Wheeler is her name.
What a great name.
What a great name. So between Trixie and Nancy Drew, I read like mystery after mystery in the summer. And I think that definitely shaped my thinking. I think it's thanks to all these mysteries. I'm very, very good at guessing plot twists. Like when we watch movies,
Yeah,
I can
you are.
generally tell what's coming next. And my husband's always like, how did you know that? I was like, how did you not? I don't know what to tell you. But I think it comes from reading 8 million Nancy Drew books and 8 million Trixie Belden books back to back. Yeah. So there's something about, again, that classic thing of like a gang of kids investigating mysterious goings on in a local town that's very timeless. So
totally.
But my other major summer book reading category is fantasy. And I really have this extremely specific like sense memory around finding Tamara Pierce's seminal fantasy book, Alana, the First Adventure, the summer I was 9 at the library. We had just moved houses, so I didn't yet have friends at our new house in walking distance. We hadn't moved super far from our old house, but like my friends were now like 2 towns over. So
yeah, you couldn't just like wander over and be like, who's around to play?
Right. Yeah. And I spent that summer lying on my new bed in my new room or up in the tree, because we had like kind of a great tree for climbing, reading this book just over and over again, drinking water or lemonade through a Twizzler straw. Also, like somehow I really relate to this book. I feel like that I did that a lot. Yeah. I just have that really clear memory. I checked it out so often. I don't think anybody else got to check it out that summer. Like I renew it and renew it until I had to turn it back in. And the very next week I would go back, I would check it out again. So if you've never read Tamara Pierce and you like fantasy at all, you must read this series. Alana is the first book in a quartet, and the quartet is called The Song of the Lioness. And it's about a girl, also with red hair and a fiery temper.
There you go.
Who disguises herself as a boy to train as a knight. And the kingdom of Tordal is a classic fantasy world. Medieval knights, classic gender roles for our hero to fight against, magic kind of threading through it. Alana is a fantastic, flawed character. And overall, the books have just really healthy relationships and boundaries. Alana really setting for herself what she wants out of her romantic life, positive messages about bodies, about periods and sex. I loved it.
That's kind of amazing for like a fantasy novel.
Yeah. And the first one came out in the 80s. Like I was reading it when it was new when it came out. I think the first book came out in like 82.
I've never even heard of this series.
Other than Anne, this is one of my formative books. And she gets a little bit overlooked because this was before sort of that big market opening of middle grade fantasy that happened. So you could tell that she probably had a lot more that she wanted to write about it, but was kind of constrained by like the page, like, oh, kids aren't going to pick up big, giant, chunky fantasy novels.
Yeah, we didn't have Harry Potter then, so no one
know.
was going to give her 500 pages to write an epic.
No.
Yeah.
And I love this book because I felt like I discovered it on my own, and it was really written to speak to like the fierceness in girls that often gets overlooked. There are 3 more books in her story of her like being a working knight and the things that are happening to her. And they do hold up really well. They came out in the 80s, so they aren't quite as they don't have some of that more modern contemporary feel that's like Percy Jackson might have. But one of the great things I love about Tamara Pierce, so she's still writing books in this world, and she's continued to grow and evolve as a writer. And her more recent books, you can see her, even though we're talking about a medieval fantasy world, about just kind of being even more open about some of the progressive messages and the feminine happens. So she's got other books in this world where the characters kind of overlap. You get to see Alana later on as she shows up as a background character in other books. As the market for middle grade and YA fantasies opened up, you can see that she can write longer books. Like some of her series now are much longer than the Alana books. I still love Alana, but there's a quartet about a girl named Kelladry, who was the first girl to train openly as a knight, following Alana blazing the path. And that might actually be even more my favorite books, but they're all good. Tamara Pierce also has a series set in a different world called The Magic Circle, and that skews a little younger. I think the Tortall books ride the line right between like middle grade and YA. Maybe more YA before the YA got to like more new adults, right? There's fights and violence in it, but it's not very graphic at all. There's healthy relationships and flirting and hormones and even sex, but it's very mild and very fade to black in those types of ways, even as the characters kind of grow into adulthood. So Magic Circle definitely is pretty solidly middle grade, but it's a different world. And they're good. I just never intensely connected to them the way I did the Alana books. So if you wanted the women in Lord of the Rings to be center stage, to have the opportunity to really fight with swords and bows and wield magic on a battlefield, and you felt left out of traditional fantasy books, I just highly recommend Tamara Pierce. I think in a lot of ways she was really the forerunner that a lot of fantasy writers today, she opened a lot of doors about that.
How girls very foundational in that respect.
About the fact that girls wanted to read these stories and see themselves as the heroes. And they're great for boys too. Like I gave these to my nephews and they loved them because they're great fantasy stories. And all about
great fantasy.
Exactly. All about kind of young people growing into their world and making changes in their world, making their world more just and more open and progressive as they go. So just make sure that you are drinking lemonade through a Twizzler straw while you're reading it. How about you, Katie? Did you have any childhood books that really defined your summers when you were a kid?
So I would say my candy books were the R.L. Stine, but not Goosebumps. My brother read Goosebumps and I read Fear Street.
Fear Street. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, hardcore girl.
Those were like my candy, but my mom was pretty particular about not letting me only read those. Those. She was like, "You need to not only read R.L. Stine." I remember reading I think maybe my favorite book, and I know I discovered it in the summer, was Matilda. And I remember reading Matilda, really anything Roald Dahl. I would just read through all of his books, but Matilda was my favorite, and I would read it in one day and then I'd read it again the next day. If I found a book I loved, I would just read it over and over and over and over and over again. And Matilda was not a short book, but I would just sit in a chair all day and read Matilda. But I also I got into Nancy Drew and Babysitter's Club and that kind of stuff too. But Roald Dahl was really my favorite.
What was it about Matilda and bookish girls our age, because I don't think I know anyone our age who didn't have that like soul deep connection to Matilda as a character. I think one thing it's doing that's kind of interesting and a little different than a lot of books is it captures sort of the powerlessness of being a kid
Mm-hmm.
and that sense of like, I know my world isn't right for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
then Matilda has the power to make it different.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a pretty universal experience for children.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and I think for a lot of bookish girls, also thing about Matilda, right, is that her bookishness is one of the reasons she's sort of an outcast in her family.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
most girls who, if you're feeling kind of bookish, you feel different in some
Yeah.
way. You feel
Mhm.
like you don't quite fit in some way. And relating to a character where that ends up becoming kind of her superpower, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
she doesn't fit, but she's amazing.
Mhm.
And reading is part of what makes her amazing.
Yeah. I think that's really on the nose.
It's such a funny book.
Oh, it's
world-
so darkly funny.
Yeah.
I remember I also had my mom read it out loud to us taking a road trip, and I had just finished it and I loved it so much, and I loved listening to my mom read out loud. And so she started reading it out loud, and just even the first few sentences of that book are hilarious, and my mom would laugh so hard that tears would be rolling down her face as she
I
was
love
reading it
that.
out loud to us. It's so good. So that one I remember. The other book that I really have always had a thing for orphans. I love orphan stories.
I know.
And
It's like a thing.
it is. I mean, it really is a thing. It
Yeah.
is it is a trope in literature and in children's literature in particular. Did you guys ever read Mandy by Julie Andrews?
Ah, love that book.
Yeah.
I adore that book.
Yeah. So that was another summertime read for me that was
Did you say it was by Julie Andrews?
Yeah.
and I mean the Julie
The
Andrews.
Dame Julie Andrews?
Dame Julie Andrews is
She
also
wrote an orphan book?
She wrote an orphan
did.
book called
Wow.
Mandy.
But she wrote it
And-
under the name Julie Edwards. So in case you're
Yes. So
confused.
it's
Okay.
like Julie Andrews Edwards. Yeah.
Amazing.
So her married name. She also has another one called The Last of the Really Great Wang Doodles, I think. Yeah.
But Mandy,
Who knew?
classic orphan story.
Classic orphan story. And also it reminds me a little bit of Matilda in that she finds a cottage and she makes this cottage her
nice.
own behind the wall of the orphanage, on the other side of the wall of the orphanage. She like gardens and makes this cottage her own. And it reminds me of Miss Honey's cottage from Matilda. So that's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
connection to Matilda. Yeah, classic orphan story and just wonderful and reminds me a lot of summertime in being a kid in summertime because I loved that book so much. When I was a kid, I started a club called the Newbery Girls, and we read Newbery winners. And so really any Newbery book reminds me
Okay,
of
Katie, of
summertime.
course you did. That's incredible. I love that.
Yes, the Newbery Girls, and we read Newbery Winners. Did that a lot during the summertime too. Is one of the ways that my friends and I would connect over the
Yeah.
summer was with the Newbery Girls. That reminds me a lot of summer times as a kid too.
Well, let's transition a little bit and talk about some books that are for adults or older teen readers.
Okay, I've been dying to talk about this book ever since I finished it. So I'll start by saying there was a book that came out in 2020, and the hype for this book was at an absolute fever pitch. Everyone was saying that this was the fantasy romance that would cure our sort of collective reading slump caused by COVID lockdown. And this book had to do with an immortal living an invisible life and the love affair that had the power to stop time. So I read this book. It was beautiful. It did nothing for me.
I know exactly what book you're talking about. It did nothing for me too. Okay, keep going.
I am not alone.
You're not.
So the book I'm actually recommending today is the book that I wanted The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue to be. So the book I'm recommending today is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This is a modern day fairy tale. It is set in a magical flower shop in present day Harlem, a sparkly speakeasy in the Harlem of the 1920s, and in the place where those two timelines collide. I love this book, you guys. I'm like giddy just talking about it. So Ricky Wilde is a young woman who is ready to become the woman who she was meant to be, but she needs a little help. She's had like a very privileged life, hasn't really had an opportunity to stretch her wings yet. Enter her fairy godmother, an elderly woman who is looking to lease her Harlem storefront to the right person. Ricky then transforms this little shop into a fantasy plant store. I mean, these descriptions were so vivid and beautiful that I was having dreams about it at night. It's just so enchanting. Ricky's life is finally her own. She's making friends. She's loving Harlem. And she just keeps running into this like mysterious guy. And the guy is charming and handsome and all the things, but seems to her like he is kind of not of this time. And she's right, he's not. The book is simultaneously expansive and sweeping. It incorporates like a century of Black American history, and it's also incredibly intimate and personal as it perfectly captures the world of one young woman at this crossroads in her life.
That sounds incredible.
It really does sound
I
incredible.
cannot wait to read it.
I feel like I can't hype this book up enough. Tia Williams wrote 7 Days in June, which came out a couple years ago, which is super sexy, easy breezy. This one is also very breezy, fun read. Feels like your bestie is telling you all the details of her latest fling. So it definitely falls under the juicy summer read category, but it has like a really satisfying emotional depth to it and this like fascinating historical perspective. And there's just this insane streak of wild magic throughout the whole thing. And just for me, this book is like perfect.
I have got to read it. I never read 7 Days in June either, but I remember people talking about that one also.
I liked 7 Days in June quite a bit, but it's actually a very different book. Love Song for Ricky Wilde is straight up magical realism. I mean, it's just really beautiful. And 7 Days in June is like sexy, summer fling, that kind of thing. Both are good, but they're different.
I'm going to keep us moving right along because I'm afraid we're going to hit all of our bedtimes really soon. Okay, so for a grown-up summer book, is it a cliche if I recommend the new Emily Henry romance?
No, do it.
Story?
You know, this is basically an Emily Henry stan podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just finished it this weekend. I loved it. My favorite of her books is the book Book Lovers. Did I say the word book enough? Doesn't quite knock it off its top perch, but it's a very close second, tied with Beach Read. It might edge out Beach Read a little bit. I mean, all of Emily Henry's books are perfect vacation books. She captures summer really well in all of her books. Most of her books take place in the summer. And this one takes place in Michigan. And although I've never been, now I really want to spend a summer there so badly. The central idea of the story is that Daphne has just been dumped by her fiance, Peter, 3 weeks before her wedding in a small Michigan town that she moved to be with him. And not just dumped, but dumped for his childhood best friend, Petra, after years of swearing that they were just friends.
Sounds like Peter and Petra deserve each other.
They kind of do. Daphne ends up having to move in with Miles, the man that Petra dumped for Peter, while she's figuring out what she wants to do, what's next, because Peter's the one who owns their home. So she has to move out. They are unlikely friends, but in kind of a moment of panic, she starts a fake dating rumor with him. It just seems like a good idea at the time. And of course, it's a romance story, so you know where it goes. Emily Henry writes place so well. You just really get this feel for her setting. All of her supporting characters are well drawn and you want to be friends with them too. And one of the best parts about this book is that Daphne is a children's librarian who absolutely adores the library and all her little patrons there. And she's planning a big readathon at the end of the summer. It's the only thing kind of keeping her from running out of town immediately after the breakup is she wants to see her readathon through. So if you were a library kid like all of us and the library was your safe place, this book has a little love letter to libraries buried in it. And it's lovely. It's really lovely. Highly recommend.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. That sounds great.
I just reread Beach Read, and I've actually never read any other Emily Henry books other than Beach Read. I know, but I really want to. I own all of them. I just haven't read all of them.
That's what we understand. But you know what? Summer is coming. It's a great
Summer is coming.
Yes,
Do yourself a favor and dive in.
I also just read Part of Your World by
is that Abby Jimenez?
Abby Jimenez. Yeah, and she just had a book that came out. There's 3 books that are kind of connected, and her newest one is called Just for the Summer. That one is also on my list that I need to read, and it's connected in this world. So there's Part of Your World, and then the one Last Summer Was Yours Truly, and then Just for the Summer is her newest.
So I haven't read any of them. Is Part of Your World based on Little Mermaid?
Not even a little bit. The reason it's called Part of Your World is because it's an age gap. She's older. He's like 10 years younger than her, maybe even a little bit more. She's a doctor, very wealthy family. It takes place in Minnesota. I think all her books take place in Minnesota. He lives in like rural, small town Minnesota. And so it's how can they make these two worlds work? Because they come from such different places, not only
Oh, that sounds
age,
really good though.
but also, socioeconomic. And it is really good. I loved it. It was one of those books where I was going through something, still am, kind of in the middle of going through something in my life. The book won't hit everyone the way it hit me. I felt like the book was talking to me. I love when that happens. Like, it seems like it's this just sort of like fluffy romance, obviously dealing with some heavy, deeper things in it. But yeah, that's the power of books though, right? Is that there are some books that you just read at the right time and that really meet you where you're at and like speak to you. This book did that for me.
So we also had opened up this question to our Instagram followers, and one of our followers had a great recommendation, which I heartily co-sign, which is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. You really can't miss with Christina Lauren. Their books for summer reading is just so fun. And The Unhoneymooners is like, I think, probably their best as far as I'm concerned. This is one where she is jilted at the altar and he's the best man and he comes with her on the honeymoon. And just, yeah.
I haven't read that one either. I think I've read one Christina Lauren book, Love in Other Words.
That one is another one that is an emotional gut punch.
Oh my gosh, such an emotional
It's so
gut
good.
punch. Yeah.
Yeah, those ladies know what they're doing. Okay, I also posted on our Instagram account a couple weeks ago about plain reads, which is a new phrase for a concept that when I heard it, I understood it immediately, and I think you guys will too. So a plain read is a book that you read on the airplane that is compelling and propulsive and immersive enough to just like take you out of the discomfort of air travel altogether and transport you to a totally different time, place, experience, whatever.
Right.
So,
no slow build in a plane read.
No slow build.
Drops you right into the action.
And the person who coined the phrase said that the ultimate plain read is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. And if you have read that book, you know exactly why that is.
Is that the one that was turned into miniseries with Jennifer Garner?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
The miniseries is good, but the book is bonkers. And like, I don't even know if it's a good book. I don't even think it matters. It's just one of those books that like you pick up being like, oh, what's this about? And then 4 hours of your life are just gone because you have to know how she finds her missing husband. It's one of those books that when you're reading it, it's the only thing that mattered. So I did think it might be fun to throw a couple of plain reads into our discussion because I think a lot of them are probably along the line of like mysteries and thrillers. Lucy Foley's novels, The Guest List kind of stick out for me like that. I read The Guest List on an airplane and it was perfect for that. It's like a modern day And Then There Were None, where there's like a wedding party gathered on a remote Irish island, and then someone turns up dead and everyone's a suspect, and it's a whole thing. Super atmospheric, super compelling. So yeah, I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on this sort of recommendation category.
I do have one I can think of right away, although I don't know that I actually want to read it on a plane because it's about a plane crash.
Well, okay, that definitely takes plane reads to a new place, though.
It does, truly.
Maybe read it on a train.
Literal. Yes.
A road trip.
It's taking the plane read very literally.
Yeah.
It's called Drowning, and it's by TJ Newman. And I could not put this book down. Very thriller, but not like a domestic thriller. It's about a plane crash, and this man and his daughter, they're on a flight. The plane goes down, and his wife is like an expert diver, and she's on the rescue team trying to save her husband, and their marriage is collapsing. So you've got that dynamic too.
That sounds so good.
Edge of your seat. Every chapter ends on a cliffhanger. You cannot put it down. It is riveting. Yes.
That sounds perfect. But right, if you're nervous about plane travel, maybe not that one.
Maybe not that one.
So I think my recommendation for a plane read is the book Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. Simply put, this book slaps. It's pretty short. It's under 300 pages. And it's about a family who rents a vacation house in like a remote part of Long Island for a week in the summer. And over the course of that vacation, something catastrophic happens that changes the whole world. But since they are cut off from everything where they are, they don't know what it is. They don't have any context for what's happening. They don't know how to react, and they don't have any way to get the information. So things start to fall apart in like really interesting ways. Like at one point, the people who own the vacation home come home and they want to stay with the family who are vacationing there, but no one knows who to trust. Are these really the people who own the home? It's so crazy. And there's just like mounting tension and just unease, and it builds and builds and builds. It's so great, super just propulsive.
Well, one of our followers on Instagram had a great recommendation for plain reads, and she recommended Into the Churn by Haley Reese Chow, and it was described as nonstop action, sweet romance, deadly worlds, wonderful characters, and a capybog, which is a part capybara, part dog, which I really want. So that sounds really fun.
That does sound fun.
Okay. What is the ultimate summer read? If someone was going to say to you, I need a great beach read, one book, what is it?
Okay, mine's a cheat because it is one book, but it is also the start of a series. So the book is called Burn for Me. It's by Alona Andrews, which is a husband and wife writing duo. The book is set in modern day Houston, but it is an alternate universe Houston where the most powerful people are not billionaires and politicians and CEOs. They are elemental magic users. Okay, so there's our fantasy element. So our heroine is Nevada Baylor, and Nevada is running her family's detective agency. Nevada is kind of like a mid-range magic user who has one really special magical talent. She can always tell when someone is lying to her. So amazing skill for a private eye to have. She is super smart, tough. She's funny. She's brave. I love her to pieces. She's like one of my all-time favorite heroines. Her small family detective agency is hired to track down an incredibly dangerous and very unstable fire mage who is the son of a very powerful family. And he poses this like immense risk to the city. So she's out there trying to track him down, and she keeps running into this guy named Connor Rogan, who is this ex-military, mega powerful telekinetic guy, and he is also looking for the fire mage for reasons that are his own. Sparks fly between Nevada and Rogan, pun intended. The book is super addictive, really, really fast-paced and fun. Just amazing world building that isn't confusing or overly complicated. There's like cool mysteries, lots of secrets to unravel, like fun little things like magical pets and like cute hijinks with Nevada and her family. And of course, and most importantly, absolutely searing dynamite chemistry between Nevada and Rogan. I think this book is a perfect companion for a steamy summer day. I adore this book and the whole Hidden Legacy series that then will go on to follow Nevada and her sisters as they all come of age in the very dangerous and exciting magical world.
Well, for beach reads, I often go straight to fun romance books. And obviously, as discussed, you cannot go wrong with Emily Henry, especially the book Beach Read. So I won't spend time on that. But I was also thinking of the book Well Met by Jen DeLuca, which takes place over a summer at a local Renaissance festival. So if you've ever been to a Renaissance festival or enjoyed that kind of experience, this is a very fun romance. And another delightful romance that is so well written and just really enjoyable. I don't know if it's specifically summery, but I would definitely read it on the beach, is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, which is an updated Cinderella retelling with a plus-size heroine on a Bachelor-style TV show. And I did not expect to love this as much as I did because The Bachelor has never really been TV I tune into. I loved this. This was so good. That's another really fun take on vacation read. How about you, Katie?
Okay, so I'm going to kind of recommend an author, but I'll talk about one of my favorite books. So I think of summer reads as like very immersive, right?
Yes.
You can a book that you can get lost in, and sometimes books that you can spend time with too. So I love Kate Morton books. Have either of you ever read Kate Morton? I
don't
love
think I
her
have.
books.
No, this is new territory for us.
Yes. So I love Kate Morton. They tend to be tomes. They're like between 400 and 500 pages long. They're a little bit slow burn in that there's always a mystery in them. They're always multi-generational family mystery dramas with a twist at the end. You always know that there's a twist coming, but you can never quite guess what that twist is going to be. They're very atmospheric in setting, almost gothic in tone. And I love her writing. She's an Australian author.
Which one do you recommend starting with?
So my two favorites of the ones that I've read are The Forgotten Garden. There's like a connection to The Secret Garden in that one.
Love that.
So that's a great one to start with because I know we all love classic middle grade kids books. And I loved The Secret Keeper. Those are my two favorites. The Secret Keeper is kind of World War II. There's a World War II element to that one. If you're looking for a very immersive, atmospheric summertime read, Kate Morton is who to go with. I love her books.
Oh, great recommendations, guys. So I guess to wind up our reading recommendation episode, what are we going to be reading this summer? And I'll just jump in and say that one book that I haven't read yet, I'm excited to read it. It comes out soon. One of our listeners also recommended this to us, so even more excited because of that, is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. And it is set on Prince Edward Island.
Obviously.
I have to get it. I actually loved her book Every Summer After. Have you read the
No,
other
I
ones?
haven't read anything by her.
So I love a second chance romance. That might be
Yes.
my favorite romance trope. And Every Summer After is a second chance romance. So
I think this one is too, or kind of, because like, so the description is that Lucy is the main character. She goes to Prince Edward Island every summer with her bestie. Sounds like great besties trip. And I guess every time she goes, she hooks up with this guy. And so in the setting of the book, she's finally resolved. She's like, I'm not hooking up with him again. Like, it's not a real relationship. I'm not here for summer flings. I'm ready for something real. And it's not my summer hookup over on the island. But, we'll see how that works out for her, I guess.
Delightful. Can't wait.
So that's This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. Sounds really, really cute.
I don't know whether I have something in particular that I'm really planning on reading this summer. I do love getting like swept up in a new series and being able to commit to a whole world for several books. I just finished A Court of Thorn and Roses, so I sort of wanted that series to be maybe my summer obsession. I thought that would keep me occupied for a while. I liked it. Fine. I didn't finish it being like must read next one. So I might read the next one and see where I feel then, but I don't know.
Person.
Okay.
I felt the same way.
Right.
We share our salty take.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is a controversial take on the ACOTAR series because everyone I know is a mega fangirl. And the ones I read were fine. I wasn't really that compelled.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate it, but man, I've read so many fantasy books that like you finish the one and you're like, but I can't leave this world. I have to.
Yes.
I need to stay in this world. I need more. And I was like, yeah, if I have time, I'll read the next one. That'll be good. I mean, maybe it picks up if we get to the next book and it feels a little different. All that to be said, I was thinking that would maybe be like my summer. I was like, there's a lot of those books, right?
Yeah, if you're into it, I mean, that sets you up for the summer for sure.
That sets you up.
You folks out there who are reading that series, oh my God, love you, enjoy. But yeah, wasn't my thing. I wish it was.
So I'm a little bit at a loss. I mean, this episode gives me a lot of books to get started. I was thinking I had half a mind to retry Percy Jackson, considering that my daughter has been obsessed with it and she has pretty good taste. Like she's definitely recommended some books to me where I was like, oh, that was really, really good. Mm-hmm. Especially to get to some of the later ones where maybe it's a little, there's more to it. I read the first one ages ago when it first came out because I was maybe coming off Harry Potter and was looking for my next like middle grade fantasy series. And it didn't grab me, but that was his first book. So maybe he's gotten better.
I've been told that about Percy Jackson with friends who've tried to read it, that the first book didn't grab them, but kids seem to love them so much. So I want to give it a chance.
So Katie, maybe you and I, that's what we do this summer is we give Percy Jackson a second chance.
Yes. Emily Henry and Abby Jimenez are both on my list for sure. But the other book that I have a real soft spot for Catherine Center as well. And her new book comes out this summer and I'd really like to read that one too. The one that comes out this summer is called The Rom-Commers. She writes how would I describe Catherine Center? Almost call her like a cross between women's fiction and romance. I wouldn't call them pure romance, but maybe they are. I haven't read her most recent one. The first one I read was called How to Walk Away, was the first one that I read, and I loved How to Walk Away. I loved it. Happiness for Beginners is another one. That's one that was turned into a Netflix show. But
I watched the Netflix movie and then I think I read it.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, Kindred Spirits, we have given you so much to work with. I hope you've been taking notes. I hope your library holds lists are absolutely stacked. And of course, we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful summer of reading.
Well, and because we've recommended so many books in this episode, it does feel a little silly to have an inspired by section. But if that's not us, then I don't know what is. So instead of we won't use a section to recommend any books, but we are inspired by summer reading, summer vacation. And so we wanted to recommend some things that you might absolutely need to survive your summer. So Kelly, what have you got for us?
Sunscreen. Of course, we should wear it year round, but summer is really when we are way more consistent about wearing and reapplying. So I did want to share my absolute favorite inexpensive sunscreen for the face. I think there are so many great, like kind of expensive Sephora brands, but at a certain point, if you were just at the beach or at a ball game and you were just like slathering sunscreen on your face, that's not when you want to use your like $50 for 2 ounces, whatever you got from the fancy place. So my holy grail is Banana Boat Light as Air Lotion in SPF 50. This stuff is great. It's absorbent. It doesn't feel like it like sits on your face. It's not greasy. There's no white cast. It layers, plays nice with your moisturizer and your makeup, and it's $10. It's $10.
Yeah.
You can get it anywhere. The one teeny drawback is that it is lightly scented. That doesn't bother me, but I do know a lot of people prefer unscented in face products. But no, truly, Banana Boat, light as air lotion, SPF 50, go get it.
Fantastic, because I have very fair Irish skin. So does my daughter. So we are always looking for good sunscreens. Well, my summer inspired by is something that we have gotten a ton of use out of in our house during the summer. I wish I had it as a kid, and it is a slushy maker cup. So there's a couple different brands out there, but basically it's a cup and you put it in your freezer, and it's got like that freezer gel between like the cup walls. You take it out and you can pour lemonade or juice or fruit punch or soda into it. And then you stir it with a spoon and scrape down the sides of the cup until it forms slush.
I need this too.
It's awesome. We always keep it in our freezer. Alice can pull it out anytime, put some lemonade in it, stir it around. Poof. Now we've got slushies. Perfect to eat while you're reading your book in your hammock or under the tree. I've seen some ones, there was a TikTok thing that went around where it like also a frozen cup, but you squeeze it and it makes like slush that way. Ours isn't like that. Ours is you stir it with a spoon and it works just fine. Zoku makes a brand that's very similar to the one. I don't know what brand ours is because I bought it years ago at Target. It was on like an end cap and it seemed this will be fun. When I was looking around for a similar one to link, Zoku makes one that's pretty much what we have now. And it's great.
And you make grown-up beverages in the
I
slushy
was
maker.
going to say this. You absolutely can make grown-up beverages in it.
Oh,
that's actually really
excellent.
good. Because you don't want to put in the couple things that don't work are like plain water because it just turns to straight ice. You need to have either sugar in it or alcohol because that slows down like the freezing
process.
So
Yeah.
the slush.
Ah,
You can absolutely put daiquiri mix in one of those.
heck yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that sounds
lemonade
amazing.
plus your alcohol of choice. And it makes it in like, 3 or 4 minutes. It's great. So you can make frozen coffee drinks in it too, but you just want to add sugar and cream to your coffee before you put it in. Otherwise, again, it just freezes solid.
You
need
that
like the
makes sense.
sugar, the fat, and the dairy slows down the freezing process.
I'm definitely getting these. These sound so delicious.
Yeah. And then when you're done, you just like rinse it out, toss it back in the freezer, and it's ready again tomorrow.
That sounds amazing. I need to get those. My kids will love that.
Katie, do you have any summertime inspired buys?
Well, I don't know if it's really summertime. It's just something that I love kind of all year round, but it's nice in the summer because you have more skin exposed, so you can smell it more. I use this splash salve. It's like a moisturizer that you put on your body in the shower and you don't rub it off. You slather it on and then you just sort of like rinse real quick and then pat yourself dry. And it smells incredible. I love it so much. The brand is Hanni, Hanni, and it's splash salve. And it's the most divine smelling. And it has the consistency of like coconut oil, like you scoop it out and then you just rub it into your skin. Oh my gosh, I love it. My skin feels moisturized. The scent stays on my skin all day long. And yeah, in the summertime, it's one of my favorite things to put on my body in the summer.
Delicious smelling shower product that leaves your skin extremely moisturized. Yes, speaking our language.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kindred Spirits. We really hope you enjoyed today's episode. And since this episode is new territory for the podcast, we'd love your feedback. Do you want more reading recommendation type podcast episodes? Should we just go back to Montgomery verse only? I know we had a blast talking about books, and hopefully it was fun for you as well, but let us know. The 2 best ways to get in touch with us are via email at kindredspirits.bookclub@gmail.com or on Instagram, which is also kindredspirits.bookclub. And while you're there, please give us a follow. Thank you to our special guest, Katie Stewart. Katie, we love having you come on the podcast every time, and especially for a book rec episode.
Thank you,
this
Katie.
was so much fun. Thank you for having me so much. It's such a delight, and I just feel so honored that you keep having me back.
We have too much fun with you to not have you back again and again.
We're going to keep having you back until we finally all go on vacation together.
I know.
Yeah, there
It'll
you go. That's really what
It'll
it is.
happen. Uh-huh.
Well, please join us in 2 weeks for another great episode of Kindred Spirits Book Club. We will be returning to the Montgomery verse next time to discuss Kilmeny of the Orchard. If you haven't read that, run right out and read it. It's super quick. It's a very short book. It's a sweet and charming love story that is also very much of its time. And then the time after that, we will give you the recap of our wonderful trip to Prince Edward Island. So be sure to subscribe to Kindred Spirits Book Club wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, you can still get a free Kindred Spirits Book Club sticker by leaving us a review or sharing about us on social media. So just email us or DM us on Instagram to tell us you did. Thanks, Kindred Spirits.